you know? Hello, Zombie Prowl. And anybody else who might be watching, hello. This afternoon I'm going to be drawing this little guy right here. Powerglide. Underrated character from the cartoon. So, yeah, here we go. Or should I say, and away we go. Hello, handsome wretch. Yep. Alright, bear with me for just a moment. I'm going to just adjust the camera a little bit. I want that art to sit a little lower on my table. That should be good. So I'm hoping I can just get through this in about a half hour here. I'm going to mostly be going off the Generation 1 animation model. But, you know, a few tweaks, perhaps, here and there. So, Powerglide is a bit of a conehead, isn't he? I never really kind of put that together, but he's got that kind of cone-shaped head. Same basic idea as the Conehead Seekers, where you have just the front of the plane just kind of like become the top of his head. Powerglide had one of the better voices in the show too. In a show full of great voices, Powerglide's actually managed to stand out. I'm not actually sure who did his voice, but whoever did it made a pretty memorable bot. Hello, hello. This thing on the top of his head, I'm just realizing on the toy is kind of off-centered. Make it just slightly shorter here too. I don't know what the actual purpose of this on this actual type of plane is, but no kidding. Was that the Canadian TFCon? Let's see. So we got the eyes rolling in right around there, nose, and then of course he has a face mask, which I guess differs slightly from the toy to the animation model. Make that a little thinner. The real TFCon, okay. Michael, do you pronounce it like chain, like the word chain? That's what it looks like. Good to know. I feel like I should have known that, but that's kind of how it always is with things in the Transformers fandom or whatever. I just feel like I should know a lot more than I do. I thought I knew a lot about Transformers, and then you meet people like Chris McFeely and a lot of the other folks, even, you know, just basically the entire fandom knows a ton. There's a lot of dedicated fans for Transformers, which is pretty awesome. I didn't realize how limited actually my own knowledge was. It's a lot to know, yes, correct. So I switched it up from Victory to Master Force today. As you can hear. Excuse me. Powerglide is such a little short, squat figure here. I'm gonna probably add a little dimension to his torso here. In the animation model, you have basically the chest part here basically goes right down into the waist area. I'm gonna just kind of add a little bit, a little midsection here. It's my drawing and I do what I want.
ンスのルアンサーキット。折から世界中のレーサーの憧れ F1 ワールドグランプリレースが行われようとしていた。
世界の F1 グランプリを目の前に見られるなんて最高だよ。俺なんか興奮して震えっぱなしだぜ。本当夢のようだわ。
SD McCarthy, is that who I think it is? If Shane was, Shane McCarthy the other day requested Powerglide on Twitter. And I thought, yeah, man, that's a great suggestion. So here we are. Nice, man. Good to hear from you. Hope everything's going good. Powerglide's got such a unique structure to them. It's kind of nice to do something a little different. Ha. Very nice. You know, Shane, I was thinking of the time that we were at Comic-Con in San Diego after you suggested Powerglide, because somebody suggested to me a while back that Powerglide resembled a ketchup bottle to them, and I remembered I was going to say that, and I remembered that there is no ketchup in Australia, right? It's sauce. Am I remembering that correctly? At Comic-Con, I learned this vital piece of information. Unless I'm totally misremembering it, which is very possible because my brain doesn't work that great anymore. Ha. Tomato sauce. No ketchup. I didn't leave room for Powerglide's girlfriend in here, sadly, but maybe a future picture. Cat's up. Is that Mexico's fault? Not mayonnaise. What? I gotta say, one of the best things about this fandom and basically just kind of the online life in general these days is how international, people from different countries can interact so easily. It's great. I'm old enough where like the idea of making a long distance call to another country was like gonna cost you your life savings.
俺たちはあの車が欲しい。いや、どうしても見たいんだ。あるんだろう、ジェルマンさん。ここにはない。いや、たとえあったとしても、どこの誰だかわからんあんた方に見せるわけにはいかないね。何？てめえ。困ったもんだ、若い人は。なんだと。
Now, football. When you say football, you're talking about American football or what America would call soccer. Football. I figured soccer. I think soccer is strictly an American thing, right? Nobody else calls it soccer. Most of the '84 cast I can draw from memory. After that, it gets a little hazy. And Drift, of course. Drift in the several of the IDW versions that I've drawn, Blur, Ironhide. Of course, some of them have gone through various makeovers over the years, but most of the ones I've drawn in actual full comics, they kind of stick with me. His arm's looking a little wonky. That's what happens when you draw the hand before you draw what it's connected to. Another thing with Transformer arms, it's like a human arm can bend at an angle that is pretty tight, but when you try to do that with a Transformer, the way the metal has to move is kind of, I don't know, it's tough to pull off sometimes. Hello, Clock Fox. Nice to see you. I'm sure the story is out there somewhere of why on earth America decided to call football what we call football, and what the rest of the world calls football, soccer. But we probably just wanted to be different and then tell everybody that ours is superior. You do in Australia? It's soccer, huh? I stand corrected. It's not just us heathen Americans. So a couple of things I'm kind of just changing up because I like it better. If you look at the animation model, the wings, Powerglide's wings, connect down here at the waist, which I don't really like. I think I like the look of it coming out of his side here a little better. I don't know, personal preference. Alright, I think we're pretty good there. Let's just pencil in the symbol real quick and then we'll ink him up. It's pretty basic design, even though it's a bit different. I do have a higher res version of that. If you'd like, you can message me for it. I will happily send it to you. So what were the Transformers and G.I. Joe reveals? There was something revealed today? Sorry, I'm not up on all this stuff, I guess. Is this Transformers and G.I. Joe together, or they just both had reveals today? Both brands. This is the episode in the background where they meet Road King, which I love that there's apparently a human whose name is Road King. Master Force is very weird. If I ever have another child, I might name them Road King. How do I avoid smudging? Just try not to... I try to strategically work if I'm doing something wet, like an actual ink, just work left to right or something where I'm not going to put my hand on it. but most of the inks that I use dry very quickly, so it's not really too much of an issue. Every once in a while it'll happen, but I haven't had a real bad incident in a while. Like today, the Megatron piece I was working on was, I used a lot of like traditional India ink on there. I just literally wait for like a huge area to dry before I move on to anything nearby. G1 Blaster reissue, nice. I'm not familiar with a Jazz Pimp Mobile, but maybe it's something to look into. I don't know. I didn't read the Devil's Due, was it? Devil's Due crossover. I like G.I. Joe, you know, as much as the next person, but I was never like I wouldn't call myself like a big fan or anything. Like I say, nothing against it, but I don't like go out of my way to see those reveals or read their books or anything like that. Hello, Sean Gamer X. Yeah, I'd love to take a look at that Zombie Prowl. I gotta say, for anybody who's watched Master Force before, I am really enjoying it. Don't get me wrong, but it is bugging the crap out of me that they don't acknowledge at all the fact that Jinray looks exactly like Optimus Prime. I shouldn't take it seriously at all, but it's crazy to me. Some of the G1 designs have like pretty uniquely like a forehead. You don't see a lot of modern Transformer designs that have any, you know, usually whatever the helmet shape is goes basically right up above the eyes. You don't usually have this space in here. So I drew Jetfire the other day, who, again, the G1 design has that little forehead piece. Now drawing Powerglide. It's kind of a fun look. Like I say, a bit different from a lot of the other Gen 1 designs. Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've heard that the Transtector was meant for Optimus Prime, and they explained it in like some related manga, but they don't acknowledge it on the actual show. And and they're all surprised when they see it transform into a robot that looks exactly like Optimus Prime. Like, what kind of Autobot are you if you don't recognize that visage, that figure, that face? Oh well. I know I'm taking this all too seriously, but isn't that what the fandom is all about? I feel like a true member of the fandom if I get grumpy about something that really doesn't matter. Yes, Dark Wizard, we are drawing Powerglide, the one and only. Okay, thank you very much, Zombie Prowl. And we'll check that out. Huh. That's amazing. Some kind of Cadillac or something. That's different. That's a different take. I'm not sure. You know, I love that Porsche. I love the sports car look. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but it's kind of a fun, different take for Jazz. Oh, good. Glad to hear you're learning something. I learn a lot of new things too when I stream. Today I learned that Jazz apparently has a Cadillac alt mode. Or, you know, whatever it's supposed to be. I don't know if it's an actual Cadillac. Was there literally a pimp? Was he literally a pimp's car? Doesn't seem like a very Hasbro thing to do. Or to approve, I guess. Wow. That's pretty wild. You should, Handsome Rat, you should draw. I always encourage busting out the old art supplies, and if you're inspired, that's the time to do it. No fun to do it when you don't feel like it. It's difficult to try to come up with something special when you're not feeling it at all. Some days you gotta, you gotta get your work done, but you're just not into it, and it's tough to kind of motivate yourself to try to draw something special. All right, now I don't know if you're messing with me right now. There's a pimp destro as well. That's not real, right? Especially Prophet Dictator, Prophet Director. Prophet Director Destro. Well, the world could always use more jazz art, so I fully endorse that idea. That is wild. What is happening with Hasbro? I don't object to it. It just seems like they've been reluctant to do some, questionable stuff. Although I guess they did let Michael Bay get away with all the things he did, but that's kind of different. That's Hollywood. Alright, so I'm not going to ask if Disco Skeletor is real. Well, 80s stuff, I mean, Stranger Things, all that, there's always nostalgia out there for the 80s, so that's not hard to believe. For me, at least. What the heck? There we go. Ellipses can be tough. I see. So the toys are real, but those names are generated by the fandom. Makes a little more sense.
とにかくトックに連絡を取ってくる。
6ナイト6変形した大型ロボ戦士だ。あいつか。それでどこで暴れてるんだ。暴れてはいない。ただ君に会って話がしたいとシュータたちが伝えてきた。慌てることはない。話だけなら聞いてやったらどうだ。そうだな。
Profit director is real. Oh my god. That's funny.
リーダーが一人で行くと言ってるんだ。言う通りにしようぜ。それがいい、それがいい。どうだ、陣内。うん。
ナイト、話がついた。陣内は一人でここに来る。
そうか。いい度胸だ。気に入ったぜ。あそこに見えるのは日本だぞ。なんさ、空のドライブってのは鈍いな。ミネルヴァに会いたくてさ。一人じゃ照れくさいから俺たちを誘ったのさ。
As I get further and further into the Japanese Transformers anime, the product lines kind of get further and further from their US counterparts. Like Headmasters was pretty much the figures that we got in the United States or other Western parts of the world. And they had the same names, right? Except for a few, you know, Fortress and Zarek versus Scorponok, but you know, the main headmasters and everybody were largely the same. Had a lot of Generation 1, you know, characters. I almost said cast members. Now, Master Force, you've got a lot of the figures that the Western world got. Pretenders, you know, Headmaster Juniors, all that stuff, but most of the names are different. And then just looking ahead towards Victory, it's like there's a few I think that we got, but there's a huge part of that series that is completely different than anything we got in US Generation 1. That was quite a wild commercial, wasn't it? Oh, wow. Yeah, thanks for checking in, Shane. It was really great to hear from you. I hope everything's well. And yeah, get some sleep, man. Take care.
ここは前に来たことがあるな。キャンさん、お前が捕まったところだ。よし、この辺で暴れまくってミネルヴァをおびき出してやる。そしてオイラの気持ちをはっきり言ってやる。大将、お役に立てる言いましたけど何でもできるんちゃうって。困るやこういうことはどうないしよう。
That voice you hear in the background is Browning, who I referenced the other day on Twitter. It's the little gun that, you know, I'm assuming it's from the same lineup as the toy that became Megatron, the Microman line. But they put Browning in this show, and yeah, yikes.
たとえ自分が負けると分かっていても戦うの。これが人間の強さだ。答えになってない。愛する人を守るために負けると分かっていても戦う。そんな目に見えない形のないものに俺は負けたのか。戦いには相手がある。相手がある以上、自分の思い通りには動いてくれない。状況が不利になることだってある。大事なのはその時、耐えられるかどうか。耐える力があれば、必ずチャンスは生まれる。耐える力。
You got a showdown between Jinrei and Six Knight here.
分かった。ジュータたちとすぐ行く。聞いたかな。はい。何があったんだ。お前の仲間のデストロンが暴れている。
6-shot recolor that's not a Cybertronian. Is this, I know about Great Shot. I don't know anything about the character. I just know that that's a thing that exists. 6-shot recolor Autobot called Great Shot. Get a special song for this battle. Wasabi Cheetah. Are you asking why he was a gun, or are you just saying it seems like an odd choice? Or both. Yeah, so the Decepticons, or actually no, not the Decepticons, but a lot of the original figures that did not turn into cars and trucks came from a Japanese toy line called Microman. So Blaster, Perceptor, Soundwave, and all the cassettes. Let me know if I'm missing anybody. They were just a separate line of toys sold in Japan that looked like everyday items, whereas all the vehicles, the jets, the cars, the trucks, came from a Japanese line called Diaclone. Both of them were owned by Takara, and that's basically Hasbro bought the rights to distribute all of those toys in America, and instead of just distributing them as what they were called in Japan, they called them Transformers and gave them that whole backstory. So that's why some characters are... Yeah, that's why Megatron is a gun, I guess. That's one of the reasons. They just chose the gun character to be the leader, I guess. And I've heard there was some back and forth on what characters should be the leader, which ones should be good guys, bad guys, stuff like that. You can look all this stuff up, I'm pretty sure, but I think at one point Soundwave was supposed to be the leader of Either the Autobots or the Decepticons. They kind of like settled in the end on the arrangement that we wound up with. Japan, yeah, Japan made the toys. If you Google Diaclone, Diaclone, you can see a lot of the original Transformers characters packaged as, you know, their Diaclone versions. Hasbro basically just, well, it wasn't actually Hasbro, it was Marvel Comics that gave them their names and their new backstory. Huh. Sorry about that. There's some areas where, like, whether it's trying to throw some kind of perspective in there, or just, you know, make it look a little dynamic, a little more dynamic, where the curved line looks so much better than the straight line. It's too bad Shane's gone. I just made a little smudge right there, but you can't really tell. Zombie Prowl, you seem like you're a wealth of knowledge, or you have a wealth of knowledge on all this old school stuff. Where's all that coming from? Just studying up over the years, if you don't mind me asking. Your little knowledge drops are almost McFeely-like. Nice. It's good to have connections. Guess I'll carry this all the way down to the bottom. It's like my DVD player is trying to restart itself or something. Alright, we're back in business here. You know, the company that put these DVDs out, for some reason there's a little sheep logo. I don't know why. I assure you I don't have any sheep. Although I do have chickens. It's not a full farm here. So this Brave that you're talking about is another transforming robot cartoon toy line from Japan. I need to stop fiddling around with this and get going. We're running out of time. We got about a half hour left. Should be plenty of time, actually. Well, if I get through this, I might have to look into that. I'm actually not even familiar with what Sunrise is. Is that a toy company, an animation studio? What is Sunrise? Sorry for all the questions. I just hope you don't mind answering. See, I never got got into some of the other mech animes like Robotech / Macross, or you know, Evangelion, all these other things that existed. I never really got into them, not for any reason other than just I didn't take the time to check them out. They didn't air where I lived, or if they did, I didn't know about it. So I don't have like a base to go on there. Well, I mean, I figure that's kind of what I'm here for, is to answer questions or whatever, but then I put you guys on the spot with something.
なんだって？そいつがトランスフォーマーだったというのか。うん。パイロットが攻撃される直前にジェット機がレーザーガンに変形したと言ったらしいんだ。ホーク、もしかしてそれは4人目のゴッドマスターでは？いや、それはどうかな。ともかく陣内たちに報告しておこう。あ。
I do have to say, Metal Hawk has grown on me. I like Metal Hawk. It's a cool character. Just chills out in his little suit and gives out orders. Hey there, Namish name.
れ物だと。それがすっごいやつなんだ。
すごいや。会ってみましょう。
その方トランスフォーマーだな。お察しの通りだが、このシックスナイトただのトランスフォーマーではない。ほうというといずれわかること。
ところでシックスナイトで、
I guess that's pretty good.
レストロンは相当サイバトロンに手を焼いている様子で、この俺の力が必要なのではないかと思ってね。
大した自信だが、
俺のパワーをもってすればクズのような人間の住む地球などを征服することは簡単なことだ。
今や力一辺倒で地球を征服することは不可能じゃ。
俺の体に宿る幻聴根パワーをもってすれば不可能ではない。
幻聴根。
So how would you rate all these series against Transformers? Do they hold up, or is it... I mean, clearly it's a bit different if they're man-made robots as opposed to having their own personalities, but are they worth checking out, you think?
バカな。俺は宇宙最強の超ロボット生命体だ。俺に勝てる奴はいない。
います。その名はゴッドマスター。
ゴッドマスターだと。そいつと勝負させろ。
無駄なこと。これで我々がその方の力を必要としないことが分かったであろう。
おのれ、見くびったな。
ブラッド、お送りしなさい。
穴を開かしてやりたいあなたの気持ちは誰よりもよくわかります。悔しいでしょう。そのためにはサイバトロンのゴッドマスターを倒すのです。サイバトロンのゴッドマスターだと。スーパー人類サイバトロン最強のゴッドマスター。スーパー人類、我々にできることがあればお手伝いを。断る。俺は俺のやり方でやる。トランスフォーム。
Alright, I guess that's pretty good. Pretty basic design there. I don't want to add too much and start making them look overly complicated. I'm just going to get rid of the pencil here and throw a few shadows in and add some detail and maybe a little background. Didn't really think that part through. I think his head should be probably a little more rounded too. I'll just hit that. I'll make that happen with a thicker line there. I've heard of this Gao Gai Gar. I don't know how you're supposed to say that. Definitely heard that mentioned quite a few times. Wait, what? Is this Kiss Players or what?
何ということは、お前は我々をおびき出すためにこのような無差別破壊を。貴様らに用はない。人類はどうして来ない。人類が狙いか。貴様らのごとき小アッパに用はない。人類を呼べ。さもなくば貴様らを地獄へ送り込む。僕たちを抹殺するチャンスだ。
Alright, yeah, that's getting a little weird for my taste, but hey, you know, to each their own. I've lost control of the chat. Not that I ever had it, but I haven't. I missed quite a few messages, but I've seen a few too that I'm just gonna let them scroll right by. Getting back to Master Force, I'll say another thing. I wish that the robot, like the Transtectors, had some sort of personality. Like, you know, Darkwing and Dreadwind are basically just those humans. Give me a second here. What are they called? Whatever they're called. I'm blanking for some reason. But, or like Wilder and, you know, the Headmaster Juniors. They're all just the names and the personalities of the kids instead of like, you know, some sort of binary bonded situation there, which is kind of weird. Hydra and Buster, yeah. I noticed, I watched the episode where Overlord combined for the first time. They do refer to that robot as Overlord, even though it is Mega and Giga together. But yeah, it's just a little weird to me that the robots have like zero personality. And that's part of the Jinrei thing. Like, this random guy discovers the Transtector that, according to something, was meant for Optimus Prime, though that's never acknowledged in the actual cartoon. But the giant robot is just Jinrei. It's Super Jinrei, God Jinrei. There's nothing, no part of the personality of the robot is from the Transtector. Kind of weird. And it did take me a while to recognize that, you know, they don't even call some of them by name. So like Go Shooter, they never actually say Go Shooter, but this kid Shuta just becomes the robot who is sold as Go Shooter. Like, I don't mind the Pretenders so much, because supposedly they are Cybertronians that are just, they just happen to be able to turn into humans. So there is, like, you know, a Cybertronian, you know, there's something Cybertronian about the characters, you know, it's not just humans. I'm not fully anti-human in my Transformers content. I don't mind humans being involved, but like, just to have the Transtectors be just brainless, you know, no personality, just things is kind of weird to me. It's just different, I guess. I forget exactly how they explained it. They explained it somewhat in the first episode. I think Metal Hawk probably explained it, like why they turn into humans. But yeah, they essentially are robots that can just change into a human form somehow. Alright, so I'm just going to grab the thicker pen and throw some darker outlines on some of this, around some of the figure here. And I'll add some scuff marks and things like that. And that'll pretty much be it. Went off camera a little bit there, sorry about that. Seems like they're doing a little bit of the 6-shot angle with 6 Knight as well. Kind of a villain that looks to be, I don't know if he's going to join the Autobots, but kind of has some honor to him or something. That power that he's screaming right about now is a little different too. The Chocon, what is it, 10 Chocon? Is it Jin Chocon? And another Chokan power. It's like just kind of a power that Power Masters seem to have. You can sort of like shoot little electricity bolts and have some sort of like telekinetic effects, powers. It's different. Yeah, Browning is, I don't know, just like a little... There's only been one episode that I think he has appeared in so far. And it seems to be very much a comic relief character like Wheelie and Daniel and stuff like that. Alright, what do you say we just throw in some clouds here and that should do the trick. Yeah, I noticed with the limited amount of Power Rangers stuff I've watched, it seems to be a theme in different sort of animes, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but the whole like powering up into some sort of massive form, you know, super powerful form, but not until you've spent like most of the half-hour episode trying to win the battle in your most basic regular form, which, you know, it's one of those things like, why not just start out as the Megazord or whatever? One of those little anime mysteries.
まさにチャンピオンにふさわしい驚異のメカニズムと言えようか。
チェ、なんだそれだけか。こういう記事はおだってが多いのさ。いや、つかんだかさ。
何にも感じないのかよ。
なんだよ。
情けないやつだな。俺は記事を見てピンときたぜ。間違いなくゴッドマスターだ。こいつは
なんだと？
激突にもめげず爆発にも耐えた。こんなすごい車他にあるか？
こいつは大手柄だぜ。
どこにあるんだその車。
フランスに行くぜ。ついてこい。
待ってくれよ、ワイダー。勢ぞろいゴッドマスター40士。
ここはフランスのルアンサーキット。折から世界中のレーサーの憧れ F1 ワールドグランプリレースが行われようとしていた。
世界の F1 グランプリを目の前に見られるなんて最高だよ。俺なんか興奮して震えっぱなしだぜ。ほんと夢のようだわ。ライトフットさんが招待してくれたおかげですもの。ブリティッシュモータースの車を応援しなくっちゃ。
ありがとう。お世辞でも嬉しいですよ。
あら、お世辞なんかじゃありません。
いや、冗談ですよ。しかし、父の会社の車に乗るカール選手も優秀ですが、優勝候補のロードキングにはかないません。
ロードキングか。すっごいレーサーだもんな。俺もテレビで見たことある。かっこいいんだよな。
よし、君たちに紹介してあげよ
本当に？
う。まだレースまで時間がある。行ってみよう。
He has a little circular pattern here on his upper arm. So I'll throw that in there, why not?
ロードキングです。お揃いで何か？
いや、レース前に失礼かとは思いましたが、こんな機会はめったにないと。
もしよかったらサインお願いできますか？俺、いや、僕も。
サインね。いいだろう。
うわありがとうございます。やったー。よーし、俺ももらおうか。ここにお願いします。まあ、キャブしたら失礼よ。
同じ頃、4人目のゴッドマスターの所在を探し当てるため、レンジャーはスペインの山岳地帯に入り込んでいた。そして陣内も最後に残ったマスタードレスの持ち主を探して西ドイツの郊外を走り続けていた。
どこにいるんだろう。4人目のゴッドマスターは。
Just gonna darken up the outline around the symbol here, and I think he's pretty much squared away. Thank you, handsome wretch. I'm gonna have to watch that again. I haven't watched it probably since... I probably did watch it since I was a kid, but it's been a long time since I watched that episode. He literally slams her to the ground? That's kind of not cool.
レストランジェルマン。ここに間違いない。
ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、ああ、あ
レーシングカーなんかどこにもないじゃんか。
中に入りゃわかるさ。
なんだってすごいやつだ。今日のレーサーロードキングだね。あれは天才だよ。
天才と言われるイギリスの王がロードキングがトップに立ちました。
さすがだね、マスター。そのまま突っ走れ。いらっしゃいます。
やってるやってる。グランプリの実況中。
仕事できた
I think he's pretty good here. It's funny that you say that. I was just thinking this is taking so much longer than I would like it to, but actually the timing's going to work out just about perfectly, but I feel like I've just been kind of fiddling around with it.
レーシングカーのことですか？
そう。あんたが現役時代に
What was I going to do with this? Oh yes, fix up some of these clouds where I had some overlapping lines here.
関係ねえよ。どこにあるか知りたいのさ。
俺たちはあの車が欲しい。いや、どうしても見たいんだ。あるんだろう、ジェルマンさん。ここにはない。いや、たとえあったとしても、どこの誰だかわからんあんた方に見せるわけにはいかないね。
何？てめえ。
困ったもんだ。
Calming ASMR voice. Oh boy. It's funny because I feel like most people, unless you're like a TV or radio personality or something, or like a a singer or something like that, a lot of people, they hear their own voice because it sounds different than it does in your head, and you kind of cringe. That's like anytime I hear my own voice, like when I first started doing these, if I listen back to any of it, I'm like, oh god. But I don't think about it that much. But it's nice to hear you say that. My daughter shows me this ASMR stuff, which I was not familiar with, but it's kind of interesting, that whole idea of these sounds that are the sounds of chewing. People like the sound of chewing. I thought that was a bad thing. But, the sound of people mushing up slime and, I don't know, just different things. It's kind of interesting to me. I don't plan to go too deep into that world because I have a hard time with the limited stuff that I've seen. I'm not trying to slam anybody if you're into that, but it's just a little different. I basically grew up having the sound of people chewing being like something that is irritating, but apparently that's something some people like these days, so good for you if that's your thing, but it ain't my thing.
心配するな。その時のためにシーコンズの出撃手はずを整えておく。
Alright, so I think Powerglide is pretty much done here. I'm just gonna... This line is bothering me here, so I'm gonna do that, and there we are, nice and clean. Sound of video game cartridges being inserted? That's a thing? Wow. Wild. I could probably identify with that. Misophonia? I don't know how do you say that. But, sorry to hear that. Let's take a quick look at, oh, I see. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of that either. Anyway, let's take a close-up look at Powerglide here. Top to bottom, looks pretty clean, pretty basic. I just added a little waist area from the animation model. Other than that, he pretty much sticks sticks to the model. So I will scan this and upload it as usual if anybody wants to color it. And this is one of the characters that if I do a Marvelous Mechs Volume 2 sketchbook, this will be one of the characters in it. So yeah, there he is. You guys want to have a look at that Megatron that I finished earlier today? I don't know how many of you saw it on Twitter. I know at least one of you did. This is what I was working on. I kind of started on it when did I do it? Wednesday, right, because I didn't stream on Wednesday. I worked on this a bit. I basically did the lines, and then today I went back in and did all the kind of rain effects and everything. I just tried a bunch of different tools and effects. I was watching an inking video of an X-Acto knife being used to basically scrape away at the black ink to make some rain streaks, which I discovered I used India ink on the sky, but I used Copics for the figure. So the ink didn't scratch well, I'm guessing because it soaks into the paper, whereas this is basically on the surface and you can scratch that away. A lot of these like thinner, I don't know, it's hard to tell. Some of the thinner, more textured lines are like a razor scratch across the paper, whereas I don't know if you can tell down here. I tried to do it, but it really didn't have the same effect. Anyway, this was something I just wanted to do for fun. I'm gonna throw it up on eBay probably next week, but figured it was time for another Megatron. So anyway, that's that. Thank you everybody for the kind words there. So as I mentioned over on Twitter, I think this is probably going to be the last afternoon stream I do for a while. I'm going to try to get back to doing a PM stream here. I should say PM, a nighttime stream here, which would be around 8 to 10 Eastern time, which I don't know what that works out to for wherever you are in the world, but new job stuff coming up, so I'm gonna be busy during the days, so I'll put that info out on Twitter, but I do plan to keep a weekly thing going whatever day and time it settles in at. I'll let everybody know, and hopefully you guys can make it. If not, I totally understand, of course. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, but I expect I'll announce something. I might take next week off. I might do one next week. I'm not sure yet. But I should probably put this back here while I talk, so you're not just looking at a blank screen. But yeah, I'll get back to you all and let you know what the situation is, and yeah, hopefully we'll be able to keep interacting on here, and if not, thank you guys for tuning in and being a part of this. It's been really, really nice getting to know you all, and yeah, I guess that's it for now. So thanks again, everybody. Be good, be safe, take care of yourselves, and I'll be on Twitter no matter what, so I'll see most of you there. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend, and yeah, see you around the block. Bye-bye.